Hey there, I'm coming to you again from my bedroom. I think that this is going to be a long-term thing. I started to realize the other day, even if they let everybody go back to work, my children are still going to be home for the summer. So I'm going to be here for a while, I think, guys, but that's okay. What's not okay is that this is Derby week in Kentucky and I miss it so much. I love horses. I love jockey silks. I love all of the women's beautiful dresses and heels and hats. The bigger the better. I love it that men wear pink and that they wear plaid and seersucker. I miss all of those things so much, and I'm afraid I'm not going to see any of them this year. I don't know. Maybe it's a small petty thing, but it's important to me, and a lot of other people who live in Kentucky, we're not okay. Okay, so now pushing on. This week, I'm going to talk to you about electric layout for your master bathroom or bathroom remodel. Any bathroom, really. I just happen to be working on a master bathroom. If you were with me last week, you saw that I laid out, I took a bathroom and totally gave it a new layout for some clients that we're working with. So this week, I'm going to use that layout. I have it right here. I photocopied it so that I have it black and white, and then I took a red marker and I started laying out where I wanted the electric on it. So I'm going to show you this and talk to you more about it so that when you get ready to do your own bathroom remodel, you'll have some things in mind that you maybe want to incorporate or not incorporate. The nice thing about this is twofold, or actually threefold, really. First, when you want to get a bid from an electrician, you can give them this and they can legitimately give you a bid off of it. They probably do need to see the proximity of the bathroom from your electrical box and what kind of shape your electrical box is in, especially if you're going to add any circuits. But this helps so in getting you a more concrete bid for your job. It also lets them know when they get there and start working exactly what they need to do, so they're not frustrated and they can work much faster. And in the end, it guarantees you what you want. If you don't have something like this, an electrician shows up at your house, they're either going to ask you a million questions or they're going to make decisions for you. They're going to decide where your light fixtures go, where your outlets go, and things of that nature. So if you've thought about it beforehand and you have a strong idea of where you want these things, then something like this is really invaluable to you. So I'm going to pull the camera over my shoulder and show you in great detail so that we can talk about it all. Last week when I talked about how to lay out a bathroom, this is the sketch that we were left with at the end of that exercise. I had drawn out the bathroom, I had placed the vanity, the toilet, and the shower, and talked about having some storage here and that the fact that I wanted 2 pocket doors. This one from the master bedroom and this one from the hallway. So now that I have this, what I do is I take it and I make a black and white photocopy of it. So then I'm left with this. And what I like about this is that the bathroom itself is there, but it sort of fades into the background. And then I use a red marker, and I will also link these in my blog because I love these. They're a medium tip. I can draw some fine information on here, but it doesn't overwhelm. But then what I start doing is I take my red marker and I draw my electrical layout. And I really like to think about all the electric, the switches, the receptacles, some people call those outlets or plugs, and the actual lighting. And I draw all of this on here for my electrician. I also put on where there's any pocket doors because electricians have to know about pocket doors. They cannot put any electric switches, outlets, lights, anything on the wall on either side of where there's a pocket door. So it's very important to keep those in mind. So let's just start with the receptacles. Because there's a pocket door here, I know that I can't put any switches or a receptacle in this space. I should have a few inches here at the very back corner of this vanity where I can snug in a receptacle. The reason that I don't want to put it on this wall is because if we do a big mirror from side to side, which I am a fan of, I don't want the receptacle to interfere with that. So I'm going to tuck it over on the side. I also want one for the person that has this sink, and I'm going to go just off the edge of the vanity and drop it in. And you'll see my notes over here. I have LED nightlight on receptacle cover. So I'm going to link these in the blog also, but I can buy off of Amazon receptacle covers that have a very tiny little photo cell in the corner, and at night when it gets dark it makes an LED light shine out the bottom of the receptacle, and it just gives you a little pool of light here, but it makes it really nice for those nocturnal trips to the restroom. Okay, so that's where those 2 receptacles are going. The only other place I would put a receptacle in this particular bathroom is actually in this cabinet. I feel like that might be a good place for phones to get charged at night, or charging your toothbrushes if you don't like to leave them out on the counter, or an electric razor. So I'm actually going to install a receptacle inside of this cabinet, and I believe that I want it 48 inches off of the floor. I'm going to verify that with my cabinet maker, but it always helps to tell the electrician, because if you just tell them you want a receptacle here, they don't know your grand plan. They don't know that you want, that you're going to have a cabinet here and that you want a shelf up high. They're going to drop that down next to the floor where they typically put one, and that's not going to be handy for you. So think through things like that and decide where you want it, but it's nice to tell them how many inches you want it off the floor. For the lights over the vanity, I also tell them how many inches I want those installed off of the floor. It depends on the height of my ceiling and the height of my mirror and so forth. But there are some standards for that, and I did not pull that up, but I think it's like 67 inches off the floor, but I'll put that in the blog to be sure. So what I am telling the electrician is that I'm going to put up a 3-bulb fixture and that I want it centered on the sink. And you can do that. You can denote that by drawing a line and putting a C there, and that means in the industry that you want something centered. I've also chosen, wait a minute, let me jump back on the receptacles. So I'm only putting those 3 in the bathroom. That's typically all you need. However, if you think you might want a bidet, you're going to have to find out about the electric on it. There may need to be a receptacle here. And what I want to say about that is, if you think you're going to do a bidet, you need to know that now, and you need to pick out the one you're going to get now, because it could matter. It could need to be a plug on this side or this side. So you want to get that stuff right early. That's why I'm such a big proponent of planning. And again, I have a whole planning guide on how to plan a bathroom remodel that I've put together that is free. I will also link to that in this week's blog. Let's see, so I've covered these receptacles, I've covered these lights, can lights. So I really like can lights, I'm a fan of those. I always like to drop one over the shower. Even though the whole front wall of this is glass and you have all of this nice light out here, I still think it's nice for cleaning and for when this gets steamed up, just to have that extra light in the shower. It can't hurt anything, and if you want something like that, this is the time to do it. So I just usually drop one right in the middle of the shower. And then this little space over here, I feel like could be kind of dark, and where I'm going to have a cabinet here, I want to be able to see in that, so I'm going to drop one can light centered up on this door. That's what this dotted line means, that I wanted this 5-inch can light centered up on this doorway. Also, I have worked with my electrician for a long time, so when I do a 5 with a circle around it, he knows that means I want a 5-inch can there. But if you're working with somebody that you've never worked with before, they may not get your key, so just do them a little key over here on the side. Do a 5 with a circle and say 5-inch can light. This, for instance, is a semi-flush light that I'd like to have in the ceiling of the bathroom. So I would do an SF with a circle, and I would put an equal mark, and I would say semi-flush, and then your electrician will know exactly what you're talking about. And a semi-flush light is one that is very close to the ceiling. It hangs down maybe 6 inches. I don't want to go any further than that in here because they have an 8-foot ceiling, so like a chandelier would not be appropriate. You could also do a flush mount. That would be perfectly fine also. Just depends on what I find when I start shopping for that. Let's see, the last thing that I want to do on here is my switches. So I feel like there needs to be 2 switches in this bathroom. There needs to be one that turns these 2 lights on. So what I would do is I would draw a dotted line to this one, and then to this one. And then this switch, I think, can turn on this can light, and this. I think it's fine for all 3 of those to be on at once. I mean, you could divide them all up on separate switches, but then what you would get is a whole bunch of switches stacked across here. And if you're like me, you're never going to remember which switch turns on which light, so you have to stand and flip them all on and off. And that's just annoying. Just keep it simple, I think, and just make all of these on one switch. My bath fans, I do not put on a switch. I buy the kind that have a dehumidistat in them and that are sensing, and so they just come on and off as needed. And I can also link to those in the blog post. And the thing I want you to know about the fan is that the electrician hangs it and wires it, and then the HVAC contractor runs your ventilation from it to the outside. You just want to give them a location of your fan, a general idea of where you want it, because when they actually go in there, there could be a joist running through the middle of this and they need to shift it one way or the other. So those are some things that are important to remember when you're laying this out. The reason that this is such good information is it allows you to get a good bid from an electrician. If he looks at this, he knows what you want and he can give you a really accurate bid. It helps when they come do the work so that they can get in and do it quickly, because they're not stopping to ask you questions. They know exactly what you want and where you want it, and they can do it and move on. And then at the end, it just ensures that you have something that you want. Like I said, this outlet right here, this receptacle, if you didn't tell them that you wanted 48 inches off the floor, when you got done, it would be down 12 inches off of your floor, and then it wouldn't be useful for you. You'd have to get down in the bottom of that cabinet to plug stuff in. So you know what you need. You just need to do the work to think about it and get it down on paper for the trades. Okay, I'm going to talk vanity lights with you now. I have some very specific things or points that I want to cover. And so I am going to be dropping in pictures right here beside me so that I can show you what I'm talking about. The very first thing that I want to say about a vanity light is do not install them with your bulbs facing up like this. What that does is it allows insects to get in there, dust to settle, overspray from hairspray to get in there, and then harden all that junk. It gets to be a hot mess. So even if the box that the light came in shows it installed this way, don't do it. Turn it around and install it like this. Okay. That's one. Second thing, clear glass shades. While they're pretty and they're very compelling, I always try to stay away from them. The reason is because you want to gravitate towards this type of Edison vintage type bulb, and I think they are very harsh on your eyes, and I don't like the light they put out. I think it's a little bit darker. You can almost tell from this bulb it's a little bit ambered. They just don't put out that bright, clean light that I like, soft white light that I like. So I try to stay away from these. The next type of light fixture that I try to stay away from is an all metal shade like this. What that does, when that whole shade is solid and metal like that, it casts a shadow on your entire ceiling. So you're only getting light straight down. And I just think that makes your room too dark. I think it can work in a powder room if you want that space to be kind of moody. I think it might work in there. But in your bathroom where you're getting ready daily, it's not a good plan. And where the bottom is open like that, you kind of want to migrate back to this bulb, so then you have a double negative. A bulb I don't care a lot for and the dark ceiling. So that's something that I always try to stay away from. The next thing that I try to stay away from is something like this schoolhouse vanity light. And while I really like the look of it, the truth of the matter is that they're difficult to deal with, because in order to change your bulb, you have to take that whole shade off. So you have to undo 3 tiny screws working up over your head, and it's just not ideal. So I try to stay away from those. One of the next things that I try to look at is I always try to get a light fixture that takes a medium base bulb. It's also called A19, but I try to get almost all my light fixtures in my house to be like this. It's either this or a candelabra bulb for me, just because I don't want to have 15 different kinds of bulbs that I have to chase down. And so these are something that are always readily available and easy to find. So I highly recommend that you stick with a light fixture that accepts this kind of base bulb. When you go to buy your bulbs, I recommend that you stick with a soft white. But the other day I bought some new light bulbs when I was at Lowe's. I just grabbed them real quick because you're not supposed to be in Lowe's very long. You need to get what you get and get out because of this whole COVID thing. But at any rate, I grabbed a box of daylights, and they're too cold. So they put out a very blue light, and I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm going to return those and get soft whites. If they have the Kelvin number on them, it's usually between 2,700 and 3,000. The higher the Kelvin number goes, the colder the light goes. So 3,000 probably gets up to be almost too yellow, so I try to stick around that 2,700 to 3,000 number. Okay, so let me show you a light fixture that I really do like. It is this one. This is the one I actually have in my personal bathroom. It puts off good light, and I really like the white glass shades. That is the thing that I really recommend for you, is the white glass shades. You can hide this kind of bulb under it. They put off good light. They're not hard on your eyes. It's just, a light fixture like this is what I try to go for most of the time. The finish is a different matter. The finish depends on the overall design of your bathroom, and I'm really kind of not going to cover that today because I'm trying to talk more about the mechanics of it, but that's it in a nutshell. That's what I like. So thank you very much for watching all of this. I hope you've been working along with me on your own bathroom and that you have a sketch and now you have an electrical plan, so you're really getting there. You're ready to get a bid for your electric, and when the electrician comes, they're going to know exactly what they need to do in your space, and that is such a good thing. As always, if you have more questions, the best way to get those answered is to join my email list, and then you have a direct line to me. You can just hit any of the emails that I send you, which I usually just send one a week. You can just hit reply to that and ask me questions, and I do my best to respond to those. I will have a link to that in the blog post. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, and I really appreciate you coming along. I hope you're learning a lot, and keep sending me those questions. They're very helpful.